Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, and thank you for joining us for the 2020 State of the University Address. My name is Kurt Hackemer. I'm the Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs here at the University of South Dakota. This address is being streamed live on the USD website and also on USD's Facebook page. We'll be answering questions at the end of the address, and we invite those who are joining us virtually to comment on USD's Facebook live stream with any questions that they might have. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce Sheila K. Gestring, the 18th President of the University of South Dakota.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today, whether remotely or in person. I deeply appreciate the support that you all have for this university. This past 6 months have challenged us in unprecedented ways. I do not underestimate the magnitude of those challenges. Yet, I never doubted that we would be able to get through all of this. Faculty and staff have continued to provide outstanding educational experiences for our students, and our students have demonstrated adaptability and resilience amid change on campus. As difficult as some of these moments have been, I have witnessed time and time again our students, faculty, and staff rise to meet whatever obstacles have confronted them. From assisting South Dakota Department of Health with contact tracing to providing virtual outreach to business owners and educators, USD has harnessed its resources and expertise to help our local communities adapt and succeed in this moment of trial, and often in very extraordinary ways. We surveyed our students that were in quarantine and isolation, and what they told us told everything, that our faculty and staff care deeply about students and their success. 88% were pleased with the communication that USD has had with those students while they're in quarantine or isolation. 91% approved of their experience in the on-campus housing quarantine or isolation, and a stunning 97.6% were pleased with the educational support that they have received throughout their time in quarantine or isolation. Those are unbelievable numbers, and from the bottom of my heart, I thank each and every one of you for everything you've done to support those students during this time. Despite this year's challenges, long-standing traditions of our university are not at risk because our mission remains the same. We are the state's flagship public liberal arts university, charged with the responsibility of educating our students in the arts and sciences, business, humanities, fine arts, education, law, and medicine. These disciplines and professions are critical to a functional society. For the last 150 years, through war, drought, famine, and yes, even pandemics, we have trained the next generation of leaders to conquer the challenges of their time. That mission, as well as access to public education, has never been more essential than it is today. The essence of a liberal arts education is exploration, discovery, and the ability to meet challenges with optimism and creativity. That is how we have faced the last 6 months, the last century and a half, and that is how we will approach our future. However, we cannot focus on our future without first recognizing our past. It is important to recognize that USD exists on the ancestral lands of Native American tribes whose heritage and culture continue to enrich our community to this day. It is with profound respect that we acknowledge the indigenous peoples of this land. In addition to the challenges brought about by the global pandemic, I'd also like to recognize that 2020 has brought about a heightened awareness of the racial disparities in our society. Over the past few months, we've witnessed our country in pain, unrest, and sadness. Racism and inequality remain prevalent in our country, and though history can teach us so much, these tragedies continue time and time again. I believe institutions of higher education have a responsibility to be beacons of hope in times of crisis, and in our own unique way, we can help lift those voices that have not been heard. Our promise is and always has been to help future generations find a better way, and now is the time to honor that promise. Many of our campus organizations, such as the Center for Diversity and Community and the Native American Cultural Center, play an important role in supporting communities that have historically gone unheard. I am also extremely proud of the USD students who this fall launched the Cultural Wellness Coalition, a new student group aimed at creating positive cultural awareness at USD and in the Vermilion community. We must continue to listen, challenge ourselves and others, and work together to create change. I continue to believe that if we work together, our community has the potential to become the model for what can be and what should be. Despite the uncertainty of the present moment, there are many projects and accomplishments to recognize and to celebrate. For example, this summer, the law school received a historic gift of $12.5 million, resulting in the renaming of the USD Knutson School of Law. The gift more than doubled the law school's endowment and provides student scholarships to help us retain and attract the best legal talent to South Dakota, ensuring the school's tradition of excellence, service, and leadership continuing far into the future. I'm grateful for the vision and the leadership of Dean Neil Fulton and all our partners who have helped us elevate the law school over the past several years. We also recently offered our best wishes to Dr. Mary Nettleman as she embraced a much-deserved retirement. And then we welcomed Dr. Tim Ridgway as the new Vice President for Health Affairs and Dean of the Sanford School of Medicine. Dr. Ridgway brings extraordinary passion, expertise, and experience to the position. Not only is Dr. Ridgway an expert in his field, he is also an expert in medical student education. We are excited that under his leadership, the Sanford School of Medicine will only continue to strengthen its position as one of the best medical schools in the nation. Another exciting development for USD and their healthcare programs is the support to replace Julian Hall. Starting in August 2022, the University of South Dakota School of Health Sciences will be housed in a new state-of-the-art building with construction beginning in April of 2021. This project was made possible by a $5 million appropriation from the state legislature and a private matching gift, and we are grateful for the support of Governor Noem, the South Dakota legislature, the South Dakota Board of Regents, and all of our partners who have helped us invest in the healthcare infrastructure in this state at such an important time. You have likely also noticed that we are nearing completion on another meaningful campus project, Patriots Plaza, located between the Beacom School of Business, Al Newharth Media Center, and the Knutson School of Law. Patriots Plaza will commemorate the first 100 years of the Army ROTC at USD, pay tribute to USD's 3 Congressional Medal of Honor recipients, and honor all military members and veterans. Major construction and renovations are nearing completion on the National Music Museum, adding approximately 16,000 square feet to the existing Carnegie Building. Staff will begin to move back into the building in the fall with a hope of opening in the spring of, this fall, with a hope of opening in the spring of 2021. The museum's new Lillibridge wing includes a performance hall, a galleria, atrium, and changing exhibition galleries. And we will celebrate in the spring when we have those exhibitions set up. The historic wing of the facility will also reopen 12,000 square feet of new exhibitions in 2022, and we are grateful for the vision of our trustees, donors, and supporters, including the City of Vermilion and the Vermilion Chamber and Development Company, who continue to see tremendous value in showcasing the world's finest collection of historical musical instruments. College of Fine Arts will also see significant change in its performance and outdoor facilities. The $2.1 million renovation of Knutson Theater is scheduled to be completed in October, and we are excited to reopen our theater with the Tony Award-winning musical, A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, beginning November 18th. Colton Recital Hall will undergo its own $1 million renovation in 2021. Renovations include upgrades like new seating, house lighting, paints, and flooring. USD is also pleased to announce a third phase of the College of Fine Arts renovations, which will include a new outdoor sculpture yard on the north side of the facility. This space will provide a place to safely carve wood and stone, will create a secure space for large-scale iron pourers, and allow for the construction of a larger iron melting furnace and equipment. The sculpture yard will also provide outdoor welding locations and a place to create larger scaled sculptures. The project is set to begin May of 2021 with an estimated completion of September 2021. These critical improvements will not only enrich our current student performance experience, but will help USD grow its accomplished fine arts programs. And finally, USD celebrated the grand opening of its new Esports arena, which is in the newly renovated space in McCusick Technology Center. The USD Esports team, which was formed in 2018 and consists of 120 active members, will enjoy 24 state-of-the-art computer stations and 2 large TVs, allowing them to participate in regional and national online competitions for this rapidly growing sport. We are in a time of continual growth, and these gifts, leadership changes, and partnerships and campus updates are significant markers of USD's forward movement over the past year. In addition to celebrating these advancements, we must also recognize the challenges and the opportunities. Enrollment trends reflect the reality of attempting to deliver an educational experience in the middle of a global pandemic. We are pleased to see significant growth in our new graduate student enrollment this year. We grew by 118 first-time students with substantial graduate growth in the Beacom School of Business and the School of Health Sciences. Unfortunately, we experienced a decline in total student headcount and new undergraduate enrollment from the record numbers that we had achieved in recent years. This is consistent with the data that we've seen across the country as students and families are considering the best way to chart their futures in the middle of a pandemic. So the total student headcount, which includes undergraduate and graduate enrollment for both full-time and part-time students, declined by 4.6%. While there was a 9.2% decline in the part-time students, many of whom are non-degree seeking, there was only a 1.9% decline in our full-time student enrollment, which means the core of the USD student population remains intact. This fall, USD's first-time full-time domestic freshmen declined by 73 students from last year's incoming class. And while we saw growth in new student enrollment from South Dakota and Nebraska, we also saw declines from Iowa and Minnesota. As we adjust to increased competition on price and programming and perceived value, We will continue to position with the Board of Regents for in-state rates for neighboring states as we look forward to next year. Finally, we witnessed a 2.9% increase in high school dual credit programs, which many indicators suggest that there was success in the freshman level math courses in Sioux Falls, and that is what contributed to the success of dual credit at USD. And while we admitted twice as many international students compared to last year, we ultimately realized a 35.6% decrease in new international student enrollment due to COVID-19's impact on global mobility. The last thing I will say about enrollment is that USD is proud to announce another record-setting retention rate of 80.7%. We have put many measures in place over the past few years to improve our retention numbers, and this is a direct reflection of the hard work that you put in each and every day. The new returning students at USD expect a high-quality liberal arts education from our institution, and one of the ways in which we uphold that promise is by maintaining accreditation. This month, USD hosted a site visit from the Higher Learning Commission, which is the accrediting body that has accredited our institution since 1913. The HLC, as it is referred to, accreditation process, is a 10-year cycle that includes a quality initiative, an assurance argument, and a site visit in year 10. During this year's visit, we were pleased to hear extensive praise from the accreditation team. Notable achievements included significant progress in the areas of institutional research and assessment, increased engagement of stakeholders through the strategic planning process, progress in assessments and improvements in the School of Education, measurable improvements in the Knudsen School of Law, as well as evidence of a very strong co-curricular programming. The accrediting team also lauded USD's progress on its quality initiative, which was focused on diversity and inclusive excellence, and noted the improvements made over the last 10 years in retention and graduation rates of underrepresented students. While we've made significant progress in recent years, it is critical that we continue to work together to maintain that momentum and challenge ourselves to continuously improve. I do want to recognize and appreciate the hard work of our accreditation committee, which was led by Director of Assessment, Lisa Bono, Vice President for Student Services and Dean of Students, Kim Grieve, Interim Dean of Fine Arts, Bruce Kelly, and our Quality Initiative lead, former Associate Vice President for Diversity, Lamont Sellers. USD will receive a draft report in the next week or two, at which point we review the report for errors of fact and return it to the site team, where they then send it through the Institution Actions Council of the HLC to complete the decision-making process. This year, the South Dakota Board of Regents will examine the operations and functions of its 6 public universities through a designated task force as directed by Senate Bill 55. The legislature passed Senate Bill 55 during the 2020 session. The Board of Regents has appointed 3 subcommittees to identify efficiencies already implemented by institutions and to propose new efficiencies that may be beneficial for the entire system. These subcommittees include academic and program duplication, administration, and infrastructure. I will be co-leading the administration subcommittee as we offer a thorough review of the Board of Regents and the institutions it governs. I'm very proud of USD's ongoing commitment to identifying efficiencies and savings, and we look forward to continuing and sharing this process at the system level. As part of our mission, to prepare students to meet challenges they face, I'm pleased to highlight a number of new initiatives for students designed to help them in need, whether that be financial or mental wellness. This fall, we launched the new Work Scholars Pilot Program, which will provide undergraduate and graduate students opportunities to find on and off-campus jobs, network with alumni and other professionals, and participate in career-building activities. 230 students submitted initial applications, and 30 students, all of whom were first-generation or Pell-eligible recipients, were selected to pilot this program. I want to take a moment to sincerely thank our business partners, Vermilion Health, the Vermilion Chamber and Development Corporation, CESDEC, 5-star call centers, each of whom established opportunities either in Vermilion, Sioux Falls, North Sioux City, and in certain cases, remote locations. By connecting our students with potential employers early in their careers, we are facilitating opportunities for them to develop the skills and expertise they need to thrive in the workforce, positioning them to be leaders in their fields. Additionally, this program connects students with USD alumni, providing mentors our students can rely upon when they navigate the decisions and situations they face as young professionals. This, coupled with USD's Alumni Association's new focus on career services, will set USD apart as we find new ways to support our students and alumni. I was also delighted to see the opening of Charlie's Cupboard, a student-led initiative designed to combat food insecurity for students on our campus. We know that approximately 1/3 of our students are first-generation students or come from low-income backgrounds. We also know that 30% of college students nationally experience a food insecurity during their time in college. Through this program, any USD student can pick up food or personal hygiene products, no questions asked. Charlie's Cupboard saw tremendous support through last year's Unite for USD virtual giving event, with hundreds of donors giving to the program, many for the first time giving to USD, and a $10,000 donation from the USD Women in Philanthropy. Our alumni and friends continue to show up in meaningful ways for our students. And the new Student Emergency Fund is a prime example of their dedication and support. Through this program, students that encounter unforeseen events can find financial support to help keep them on the path to graduation. We are incredibly grateful to the 250 alumni and friends who made financial contributions to USD's Student Emergency Fund. And finally, we continue to invest in resources that will support the mental and emotional well-being of our students. USD is currently onboarding Therapy Assistance Online, or TAO Connect, which is an online mobile tool intended to help students conquer the day-to-day struggles around general stresses like anxiety or depression, or specific troubles like relationships and addictions. TAO Connect can help supplement therapy sessions outside of business hours, or be used purely as a self-guided tool consisting of educational and interactive modules, practice tools, journals, and progress measures. TAO Connect will be implemented at the Student Counseling Center in October and made available to the entire student body later this year. Although many exciting developments continue at USD, I know one absence felt by many in our community, and that has been the lack of festivities on game day and the chance to cheer on our student athletes. I am happy to report that when we do have the opportunity to return to the Dakota Dome, our students and alumni will find a new and exciting facility with several renovations complete. The atmosphere during the game will be re-energized through improved lighting and sound, which will make game days in the Dome more iconic than ever before. The premier seating options will allow fans to customize their experience, while our teams are also now enjoying premium accommodations in their locker rooms, lounges, and office areas. We know without homecoming football games, the Dakota Days will look a little different this year, but we're proud of our work with the City of Vermilion to reimagine our annual celebration with public health guidelines in mind. For over 106 years, for exactly 106 years, USD has observed Dakota Days in some fashion. It's always been an important time to celebrate our heritage, our Coyote pride, and we want to maintain that tradition for our students, faculty, staff, alumni, and community members. I encourage you all to safely participate in the week's activities, which will include a yard face-off competition, drive-in movie night featuring historic USD athletic games. I suspect the SDSU USD game from last year might be on the docket. And Cruising with the Coyotes, which will be a motorcade, virtual grand review of the Dakota Dome, and live social media royalty review, and the crowning of Mr. and Mrs. Dakota. The USD Foundation is also partnering with the VCDC to sponsor the sale of the Vermilion Victory Bonds to encourage community members, friends, and alumni to buy gift cards for local businesses over Dakota Days. We hope our community joins in celebrating with us with a visual display of USD pride, and we look forward to introducing Yote Fest in the spring to rally our community and bring our alumni home. Finally, the last update I would like to provide for our community is the finalization of our 5-year strategic plan. During the 2019-2020 academic year, USD was engaged in a collaborative strategic planning process that involved over 1,000 internal and external stakeholders, including students, faculty and staff, alumni, community members, tribal representatives, educators, business leaders, policymakers, and legislators. And with this planning effort, we emerged with 6 agreed-upon strategic themes that will shape our time, attention, and resources for the next 5 years. As we adjust to the challenges that we have faced the past several months, I am confident the strategic plan that we have developed reflects our priorities, values, and mission, and will sustain us as we prepare our community for the future. Now, before we move into the question and answer portion, I'd like to welcome Dr. Kurt Hackemer, Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost, to the stage for a discussion on the 6 strategic themes and what they mean to the future of our university. Again, thank you for your continued support, dedication, and commitment to our Coyote community. I am incredibly proud of the work that we have done here in our community's response to this historic pandemic, and I look forward to working with you to achieve our new vision for 2021 and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, President Gestring. We're going to use this time to dig a bit deeper into the strategic plan, as President Gestring just mentioned, but in a more conversational way. I have 4 general questions that we'll use to start that I hope will prime some questions and some thinking on part of both our audience who's here with us and our virtual audience as well. If you're watching online, please type in questions on our Facebook Live feed. If you're here in the auditorium, please use the microphones that are down near the front of each aisle. So, President Gestring, we'll start.
Yes.
For those who aren't familiar, can you briefly describe the strategic planning process, what stakeholders were engaged in those conversations, and how did the university make this a collaborative process?
Sure. It was a little bit different than perhaps processes in the past. As the consultant explained, it's a more pragmatic approach. It started off by appointing 42 faculty and staff to a committee, the Strategic Planning Committee, which is a little bit larger committee than we're accustomed to, but I think we discovered we needed that many people to engage as many stakeholders. As I mentioned, 1,000 stakeholders were engaged in the process. Those 1,000 stakeholders were a part of 76 stakeholder groups. 76 constituent groups is the number of individual interested parties that we need to be thinking about as a university every single day. That, to me, was a startling number, that there are that many internal and external constituency groups. And then those 42 individuals set out to interview 1,000 individuals within those 76 stakeholder groups and get that buy-in and get that feedback, because I think the best hope for achieving or accomplishing goals within a strategic plan is if the individual stakeholders have buy-in and have participated in the process. And all of that information from those 1,000 people, 6 common themes emerged. And the work of the 42 to winnow that down, I know, was incredible, and I cannot thank them enough for that work, including you as a co-chair, as well as Vice President Rosheim and Dr. Catherine Birkeland. Incredible work, and Chief of Staff Laura McNaughton as the champion of the strategic plan as well. Incredible work.
So this is the first time that we've actually had a chance to talk about the strategic themes. Can you share with us what those themes are and discuss the steps that go along with them?
Sure. The first is academic excellence, and that is to ensure that we offer unsurpassed education grounded in the liberal arts for all of our students. Also recognizing teaching and research and service. I'll get into the goals later. I'll do each of the themes first. Engagement, and I apologize, I just got the final this week, so I don't have it memorized yet. I'll have that done by the end of the month, maybe. That was a joke. Engagement, meaning communicate USD's mission, vision, and values with all the stakeholders. Facilities and infrastructure, prepare campus buildings and infrastructure for future generations of students, faculty, and staff. Diversity, continue to create an inclusive and supportive environment for all. Serving South Dakota and fostering outstanding stewardship throughout the state. And affordability, providing access to a first-class education effectively and efficiently. And I think we've done a lot of work with that one already, and we should be proud of that. But let me talk just a little bit about the goals as well. Under academic excellence, the goal number 1 is to improve long-term outcomes and success of USD students as it relates to the liberal arts. And so what does that mean? How can we be successful there? Well, the success measures were defined as dissemination of data associated with outcomes and successes of our students as they relate to the liberal arts. Programmatic changes happening throughout time based on a review of that data that we're able to obtain. And then sort of a continuous improvement process, cyclical assessment of student success as it relates to the liberal arts. Goal 2, align faculty, teaching, and research and service with the mission of the university. So what does that mean? It means we need to reevaluate USD's expectations of the faculty. I know some of that is in progress already, both at the institution and the unit level, and develop some meaningful expectations for annual evaluations, for promotion, and for tenure. Reevaluate the workload policy to provide a little bit better guidance to faculty and their supervisors on assignment of duties. And this one's a big one we heard a lot about, and that's evaluate how current unofficial service is often created for sociocultural or gendered reasons, and it might not be formally acknowledged in the promotion and tenure process. And so we want to do some work there as well. Strategic theme 2, engagement. Engage internal stakeholders, so all of you and our students, and do that by a better onboarding process, one that is one you can do throughout a year, not just 4 long hours in one day, but ways in which to really help new employees become engaged on campus and to help them do that throughout the course of time and learn about all the great things that happen at USD. Engage external stakeholders. The We Are South Dakota campaign is a nice start to that, but we really need to work with the state of South Dakota and their opportunities there, and we've done some of that already. Dr. Carrie Oyen, I know, worked with a summer study not that long ago about in her field with school psychology, and we have a lot of expertise here to offer to those summer studies. So I'm hopeful that we can participate and become a resource when there are special projects that need to be studied as a statewide initiative. Strategic theme 3, facilities and infrastructure. Really trying to take a different approach to how those capital projects may have been done in the past. I had an opportunity to go through the South Dakota Union building. Adam insisted that I go through that building, and I'm really glad he did. You can tell there was a time on campus where in all fairness, there was a lot fewer resources available for maintenance and repair at that time. But there were 4 different carpet patterns, so you could tell rooms were being done one at a time rather than floors at a time. So taking a different approach there and pulling together a group on campus to identify all the needs and help prioritize a facilities infrastructure plan. Second goal, to invest in technology and the infrastructure there to realize student successes, research, and creative scholarship. Theme 4, diversity. This is probably taking a lot longer than everyone wanted, but I want to make sure we get some of this covered. Diversity. Develop and refine new core competencies for diversity. So what does that mean? Review and revise diversity statements for the university, all units on campus, so that we have one message when we talk about what is diversity at the University of South Dakota, aligning those diversity messages, reviewing inclusive excellence statements for core competencies. Number 2, recruit and retain diverse faculty and staff. We need to do some work there, review our baseline, analyze our recruiting processes, and perhaps there's some new ways where we can attract more diverse applicants than we have in the past. Serving South Dakota, I touched a little bit on this one earlier with the engagement piece, but we want the state to be able to understand everything that it is that we do and be able to communicate that. And I think we've done a better job of getting our story out there, but there is still work to do. And I know that we have a partner in the executive director at the Board of Regents, because he's excited to help tell our story so that everyone knows all of the amazing things that happen on this campus. And then collaborating with underserved populations to improve the quality of life in South Dakota. Identifying who those underserved populations are through CCSF, the Center in Rapid City, and also an exciting announcement that we'll talk a little bit more about in a month, but it is related to the Institute of American Indian Studies. identify additional opportunities to engage those underserved populations, and figure out a way in which USD can better serve those populations once we're able to successfully recruit them here. How do we best serve those populations to keep them here? Then the last theme, affordability. This one is twofold. One is to obviously try to increase resources for students through scholarships and other means, but also try to control the affordability through looking at efficiencies, and not necessarily for dollar savings, but to make the service easier for the student to navigate and perhaps save us some very valuable staff time in the process, looking to maybe automate and work with processes that might cross over between financial aid and the registrar and the business office in particular. But that one is really more about the student-facing process and serving our students the very best we can. So that was a really long answer. I hope I didn't put anybody to sleep on that.
We'll give you a chance to give a shorter answer next. How's
Perfect.
I think anyone who's been through a strategic plan knows that there's a difference between announcing one and executing one. Mm-hmm. And some of the words that kept coming up over and over again were talking about continuous improvement and collaboration in several of the goals and themes. So how does that impact the plan's execution? And then how will the campus community hear what we've done, hear about the results of the plan?
Sure. Well, I think actually we've been really good at continuous improvement to this point, and we'll continue that theme. But I think the collaboration comes and the execution comes because we engaged so many stakeholders, and there's going to be sort of this ownership and this buy-in. And I think it's always much easier to really execute a plan when you have that sense of ownership among all your stakeholders and buy-in from all the individuals involved.
One benefit of a strategic plan is that it unifies a campus community around a shared vision. What can our faculty and staff do to adopt and embody these themes?
To adapt and embody these themes?
To adopt.
Adopt, okay. These masks are just not my favorite thing in the world, but they are critical. They are critical. What the faculty and staff, I think, can do to help with this is really get behind those strategic themes, participate with creative thoughts and ideas on how we can achieve those goals. One of the things I've really seen throughout this pandemic is just incredible creativity and how people have been able to come up with ideas that, if not put in that sort of pressure or time frame, I'm not certain we would have. But just continue to use that creativity and that problem solving. And that's what we're all about here with a liberal arts education, is problem solving and creating, as I mentioned earlier, attacking challenges with creativity.
Okay, now that you've had this overview and have heard President Gestring's initial remarks, the floor is open to your questions. So if you're in Aalfs Auditorium, please feel free to come down to the microphones. If you are online, please use our Facebook Live feed. Well, this feels just like my class.
Yeah, Kurt had an early exposure to the COVID capacity. It's quite startling to see how few and everyone spread out.
Here comes a brave soul.
This isn't about Dylan, is it? Because I know you're associated with the school. Just kidding.
You're good. This is more of a comment than a question. Carol Voss Ward, Academic and Career Planning Center. Universities have the authority to consider unusual or special circumstances, such as the loss of income, when awarding a student aid. Considering the global pandemic and its effects, particularly with some of our more vulnerable communities, I hope we might see this as an opportunity to ensure that the special circumstances process is clear and readily accessible for our students. Thank you.
Thanks, Carol. And I'll just add to that, the CARES Act was absolutely critical to a large number of our students and our ability to help them through those dollars. And I'm, as I mentioned earlier, just incredibly pleased that the foundation and Dr. Kim Grieve have worked together to put in place also a student emergency fund, as well as Charlie's Cupboard. I mean, Charlie's Cupboard is just an incredible service, and we need to remove as many barriers to a student's potential, remove barriers to items, things getting in the way of students reaching their full potential as we can. So it was a great comment, Carol. Thank you.
Other questions or comments from the audience? Well, the strategic plan will be distributed. You'll have an opportunity to look at it in more detail. There are a lot of us who are involved with that plan who can certainly discuss it with folks and walk you through it. And we'd be happy to do that. I've learned over the years that it's always wise to give your boss the last word. And so I'm going to throw it back over to President Gestring.
Well, thank you, Kurt. I hope each and every one of you has an opportunity to review the strategic plan information that comes out. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope we can all rally behind it. Thank you again today for your time and your commitment to the university, for everything that you do for our students and for our community. And I've learned now that you must close everything with a go Yotes.